Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here. It must be Wednesday because we're here for another episode of Wisdom Wednesday from beautiful Austin, Texas. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome, congratulations on finding us. We always share a lot of what we think is important and useful information to make your life better. And every month we have a theme. This month it is Grow Yourself in May, kind of a pun on, things starting to grow in the springtime, April showers bring May flowers, that sort of thing. But we're also talking about how you can grow personally. And today we're really going to get literal with it. We're going to talk about how you can grow muscles throughout your lifetime and what it would take. Growing muscles, the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism tends to be. You're going to burn more fuel because that's what the muscles are there for. And did you know that every decade, starting in your 30s, most people lose 10% of their muscle mass decade by decade. So that's something to be concerned about. Does it have to be that way? No. And we're going to get into that in a second. But before we do that, a little housekeeping here. I want to thank everyone who voted for this year's Community Choice Awards. They used to call it Best of the Best or Best of Austin, and they change it almost every year. Now they're calling it Community Choice Awards because I guess Best of offended somebody. But we've won one or both categories every year for the 7 years that they've done it, either Best Dentist in Austin or Best Cosmetic Dentist, and twice we won both Best Cosmetic Dentist and Best Dentist. And that's because of you, our viewers and our patients who support us and voted every day. There's not another round of voting until June, but we were just notified that we made it into the top 5 category again in both categories. So thank you, all you followers, for voting for us, for taking the time. We will let you know when the next round of voting starts. I believe the format is they got it down to 5 now from an at-large of anybody could vote for anybody. It's down to 5 in each category. We're in the top 5 in both. And they'll have another round of voting for 2 weeks, and then they'll narrow it down to 3 by July. And then they have a last round of voting in August, and in September they have a gala downtown at the Marriott, and they announce who the winner is, but they try to get all of the final top 3 in each category to show up that night. So, good advertising dollars for the American Statesman, good on them, and great for us that we're back in it in both categories, so thank you again. So let's get back to the muscle stuff. As you know, those of you who have tuned in regularly, that every month we have a different theme. And like I said, this month it is Grow Yourself in May. But we're going to talk about muscles and how to grow muscles. First of all, like I've said, from 30 on, every decade you lose muscle mass. And this is what happens. When you lose muscle mass, your metabolism is going to slow down because you don't have as much muscle there to burn the calories. Secondly, you're going to get weaker because, if you lose muscle, you're not going to be as strong. And the other thing is, the less muscle you have, the less you can handle proteins well, and you can end up with some insulin resistance, some blood sugar issues, and even in severe cases can lead to adult onset diabetes, which is not a good thing to have, where you're insulin dependent. So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about metabolism. Who has the fastest metabolism? An infant, a teenager, or a 30-year-old? Well, the answer is infants burn 50% of their entire metabolism is aimed at growing their bodies because they're starting out as little beings. And so a whopping 50% of their what they take in as nutrients, and that's one of the reasons babies eat so much as they get into that first and second year, because they're growing muscle mass, they're growing their bones, they're growing their brains, and so it requires a lot of metabolism. So infants have the fastest metabolism of those three categories. I wouldn't believe that, having three teenager sons at one time in the house 10 years ago. They're all in their 20s now, and they ate us out of house and home. And I don't remember them being that hungry when they were infants. But the research says otherwise. If you have teenage sons at home, you know what I'm talking about. So research has shown that between 30 and 50, if you're working out regularly, you're really not going to be in that other category where you're losing muscle mass. You can maintain muscle mass between 30 and 50. But if you don't stay active and you don't eat well, if you're overweight, if you smoke, all those things we talk about, if you don't get enough sleep, if you're just stressed all the time, then you're in that category of people who between 30 and 50 could lose a significant amount of muscle mass. And researchers have also found on the flip side that you can actually build muscle at any age. You hear these unicorns out there of these women who started running marathons at age 60, or they actually started running at age 60 after they retired, and by the time they're in their mid-60s, they're running marathons. My middle son ran a marathon up in Marble Falls in November of last year, and I was there to cheer him on at the finish line, and a woman that had to be well into her 70s crossed before he did. Sorry, Marcus, I hope you're not watching, but she clearly, this was not her first marathon. She had a belt with different beverages latched onto it, and she was just chugging right along, all dressed in pink, but had to be into her 70s. And clearly, like I said, it wasn't her first marathon. So she beat my son by about 15 minutes. It was his first marathon. So researchers have found, like I said, that you can build muscle at any age. So we're going to go through 6 different tips that are keys to building muscle. First muscle building tip number 1, eat more protein. Protein has been shown to be a building block of muscles, and so if your body's going to use protein for all kinds of things to build cells back, but your goal should be for every pound that you weigh, you should eat 1 gram. Your goal should be to eat 1 gram of protein a day for each pound. Tip number 2, use heavier weights, not smaller weights. If you're into this stuff, that I've got a personal trainer that I see every Thursday, and he ups the weights on me regularly and says, I don't care how many reps you do, but I want you to go until you can't go anymore. And in his mind, regularly, if I do 20-pound or 25-pound weights, I do bench presses with 25-pound dumbbells. And once in a while, he'll throw 30-pounders in there, and he'll say, I don't want you to get 12 or 15. I want you to get as many as you can do. It might be down to 6. So it's half the number of reps, but it's 10 pounds more per weight on each arm. And it's called high-intensity interval training, HIIT. You can look it up and learn more about it than I could tell you in the time I have allotted today. But it's an interesting concept that's been around for about 20 years that shows that if you push the muscles to the point of exhaustion, they'll break down, you'll be sore the next day, but they'll actually build back stronger muscles because they think you're an idiot and you're going to do that same weight again 2 days later. And so they need to be prepared. And that's the way bodies work. Number 3, go for the big moves. When you're doing exercises, work the big muscles, the muscles in your back, the muscles in your legs. Do squats with weights on your arms, trying to work you're never going to increase your metabolism and do anything other than get big arms by doing curls, but especially not with low weights. But if you work the big muscles, you're going to get more bang for your buck. So where are the big muscles? In your legs, your hamstrings, and your quads, and up your back. And for some people, into their chest, especially those big barrel-chested guys. Tip number 4, drinking a protein shake before you work out is better than drinking one afterward. Finally, after all these years of quoting research studies from Hong Kong, from Japan, from Norway, from all over the world, I finally get one, University of Texas. Good old University of Texas found that weightlifters who drank a shake containing amino acids and carbohydrates before working out increased their protein synthesis or their muscle building more than weightlifters who drank that same protein shake 30 minutes after the workout. That's key information. Way to go, Longhorns. The shake that they tested with contains 6 grams of essential amino acids, ones that your body can't make. That's why they're called essential. And muscle building, the muscle building blocks of protein, and then 35 grams of carbohydrates. So that's what was in the shakes. That's something you can make easily at home, or you can buy those protein shakes and those amino acid and carbohydrate shakes that are pre-workout shakes. And that's what they're talking about here. So more important to do it before you work out than after. Muscle building tip number 5, work out with weights 2 to 3 times a week. But you don't always have to go hard. You don't always have to do the high intensity interval training, HIIT. You don't always have to do that at every workout. You want to take some semi-rest days where you're using lower weights at greater reps so that you're not always burning your muscles up. It might help you build more strength, but if you want to stay toned and burn calories, you need to spend some days doing the lower weights. But they found that 2 to 3 times per week is your ideal time to work out with weights, or do something if you're running, doing sprints, something at a higher intensity level. So you got to take those rest days. And that leads us to tip number 6. On your after your workout and on your rest days, these are days where you're not going to work out at all, or you're going to do light activity, eat carbohydrates, eat carbs, but I'm talking about the healthy carbs, not the crappy junk food. Those will actually help you build more muscle on down the road if you give your body the essential building blocks for building more muscle on the rest days. So those rest days are very important. So guess what my health tip of the week is going to be? Get out there and get moving. Take a walk. I say this probably 80% of my health tips. Get out there with the sun shining and it's still nice temperatures right now. And take a 20-minute walk 3 times a week, and you're going to see some health benefit from it. So our goal is for you to grow in the month of May. So I'll see you next week for another version of Wisdom Wednesday.